prepared everything. I may need her to help me explain some stuff.
One with the oldest mother here,
Okay, oldest mother first?
oldest mother, youngest mother, and the one with the most kids here.
Okay. So, who's the oldest mother?
Big hand Rockets. All right, yeah.
Which one?
No, don't matter.
Well, they all
So old this morning.
May go ahead and get a picture real quick, so. Let's see here. I'll get back to my camera. This thing going on, it'll be alright. Yeah.
I feel privileged that I'm here.
So, let's give her a big hand.
Well, he can usually get it. All right, the one with the, yeah, the one with the youngest mother.
And with the youngest mother, who'll that be? I think that's gonna be Megan.
I figured Kelly. No, I'm almost 40.
All
All right, Megan.
Megan, it'd be you, and you don't have to tell your age either.
Really?
Yep, she's gonna be 38 years.
Out the window.
I mean,
Can I take a picture with you?
All right. So now it's gonna be the one with the
The
most
one
children.
with the most kids here, so it's kind of a tie.
Between
Kelly and,
Kelly and Mary.
yeah.
Between
So
Kelly and
I've
who?
had it before and she's had it before.
So give it to Kelly.
All right.
There you
Let's
go.
decide on what to do.
You know, if we had all the mothers here, I think it'd all been a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
There it goes. I think I got it.
Okay. So, now that, now we've got that, all taken care of. Bill
And
said
we have a
prepare-
gift for all the mothers, it's a flower, so you pick it up on your way out.
All mothers
Because if
pick
you
up
give
your
it to it now,
flowers
it's
on the
gonna
way
get
out.
dirt everywhere.
Yep.
And that includes all the mothers.
All right, good deal. So again, give all the mothers a hand this morning. Okay, this time we'll turn it over to Pastor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is good to be in the Lord's house. We're thankful to see each and every one of you. To tag along what Brother Joe has said, we like to wish every mother a happy Mother's Day. And bless each and every one of you. And we thank the Lord for you. Sometimes we know if it wasn't for you all, we don't know how that we even make it this far, it seems like. But we thank the Lord for each of our mothers. And I know Mother's Day can be hard for some people. I know, you know, there's people out there that's going through a Mother's Day without their mother. And we like to pray for those people. And I got to thinking about it also on the way here. And there's also some mothers that's going through this Mother's Day without some of their children. And I've got friends even my age and younger than I am done hurled into eternity. And so that plays both ways. So I like to remember the mothers also that's happened to go through this Mother's Day without their children. So we like to pray for each and every one of those also. And saying all that to say this, cherish your mother while you still have her. They're not always going to be there. Fathers, grandparents, they're not always going to be there. Cherish them while they are still here. Praise the Lord. Anybody this morning have a song on your heart? gonna sing? Just at this time, we'll move on to the service. I know we've had a good revival here lately. Had some good preaching. And going on praying about a message this morning. You know, and have some.
These two gonna sing.
Oh, we got some singing? All right. Got us some singers.
You can play. Huh? You can play.
Play what?
What song?
Well, I may not know it.
Yeah, you do.
What is it?
Where can I go?
Huh? What key?
I don't know.
That deep. Well,
Phyllis would be 7th fret in G.
One more down. Whoa. Way down on the knees. That's deep.
Living below in this soul sinful world, hardly a comfort can afford. Striving along to face temptation so, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord? Neighbors are kind, I love you everyone. We get along in sweet accord. But when my soul needs manna from above, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul, needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord?
Is there another one?
Life here is grand with friends I love so dear. Comfort I get from God's own word. Yet when I face the killing hands of death, where could I go but to the Lord? Where could I go? Oh, where could I go? Seeking a refuge for my soul. Needing a friend to help me in the end. Where could I go but to the Lord?
There'll be another one. I won't leave nobody out. They feel the need to sing. Righty. At this time, we'll change the order of service. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here this morning. Got to thinking about the message for this morning, and I feel the scriptures are real fitting for the time that we're in and the hour. If you have your Bibles, flip with me over to Proverbs in chapter 31. Proverbs in chapter 31. Give you a second to find that. Just trying to find another scripture. All right, Proverbs of chapter 31. I'm going to start there in verse 10, and we're going to read some scriptures about a good, godly mother and the role and the example of a good, godly mother. It says here, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like a merchant's ship. She bringeth food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor, yes, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto a merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own work praise her in the gates. Now let's jump back up here to verse 1 of that same chapter. Now these are the words of King Lemuel here that his mother had taught him. That's what it said here in 31. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. What, my son, and what? The son of my womb, and what? The son of my vows. Give no strength unto women, nor the ways that which destroyeth kings. But then he goes down here, as she is teaching him, she also teaches her son, which is King Lemuel, about a virtuous woman, what to look for in a good wife and a mother. And I got to thinking about the teachings of King Lemuel's mother, all the things that she taught him. And I got to thinking about us in today's time, that we can all look back and we can remember a lot of the things that our mother has taught us. That she told us about growing up. The words of wisdom and the teachings that she has left behind. The examples that she has left behind. Now I know there's a lot of our mothers have done gone on. That's not here with us anymore. But our minds can still reflect back to the teachings that our mothers taught us. And there's a lot of people that still would wish that their mother's still here just to hear some of those wisdoms, to ask her questions, the teachings and stuff that, that will help us along our way. So, children, why that you still have your mother and your father, your grandparents, attend your ear unto the teachings and everything that she has to say to you, because it's for your benefit and it's to help you grow into the adult and to the person that you become. I've done it. We have all done it back whenever we was younger. And I know kids now are probably the exact same way right now. We get to the point of thinking that we know every single thing. We don't listen to what mom has to say. We don't listen to the instructions and the advice and the wisdom that comes out of their mouths. We take it so for granted today's time and thinking that, well, they're just picking on me. She don't know what she's talking about. But then it comes a time when they're not there anymore, and you wished 1,000 times that you can have an opportunity just to talk to her again, or to actually hear the voice or wisdom just another time, but then you can't. But here, that the mother of King Lemuel had taught him what to look for in a virtuous woman and a godly woman. And we teach our kids, and I'm teaching mine right now. I've been teaching them for quite some time. We drill this into their heads about becoming a good, godly person and not just settle for anything. Not just settle for any person that just comes along. We teach them what to look for in a husband and in a wife, a boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it may be, that we teach them what to look for, not to because not everybody that comes along is going to be there for your favor. And as parents, we teach them what to look for and what not to look for. And we teach them so they can make wise decisions later on in life. Whether it be the person they're going to date, or the job that they're taking, or just life in general, we instruct them and teach them so they'll make good choices. But we get in our minds now, as we are younger, that we can make our own choices. We think that we get so independent that we don't take heed to what mother and dad's saying anymore, or grandma or grandpa. We thinking that well, that's old-timey. That doesn't work in today's time. We're in a new world today. But let me reassure you, people has changed, but So what had worked back then will also work now. But if we would just take heed and listen while you still have your mother, while you still have your father and your grandparents, that we take heed to the teachings of what they tell us, because it's for our own good, it's for our own benefit, and it's out to make you a better person. But then we take it so for granted. But here that the mother that was teaching King Lemuel, and I got to thinking about all the teachings and stuff. You know, my mother, my grandparents and stuff, still teaching in today's time. I get stubborn a lot of times. But then I got to realize my position and where I'm at, especially as a parent too. My kids are hard-headed and stubborn a lot of times. But there's going to be coming a day or a time that I will give you my final instruction. There's going to be a day and a time that you want to sit and talk with us and ask us questions, and we're not going to be here. I pray that you take what we're teaching and preaching, that it finds a place in your kid's heart, that one day after a while that you can dig it back up and that you can find a jewel there and live by. Because we're not always going to be around. But here it says that who can find a virtuous woman? This is what she was teaching her kid. And also, before I move along into that, I got to thinking about that stuff as I was reading these scriptures about a virtuous woman, all that this wife and this mother had done for her household. I got to thinking about mothers today in general. There is a lot that's on their plate. They go through a lot of things. And especially now in this past year, whenever this pandemic thing had started, it's really took a toll and changed a lot in mothers and the way that they have to help conduct and help teach their kids and take care of them. You know, now we have kids home more than we ever had. Now we're having to cook more. We having to tend more to our children. And now a lot of them is virtual this past year, so they're home all the time. You know, so now we have to figure out how that we can help them, even virtual, on their classes and stuff. And I tell you, I tried a time or two, and I didn't do a bit of good. You know, I even helped my son one time on one of his assignments. He told me, and after he seen the grade that I helped him get, he said, I should have done it myself. He said, if I knew that it was going to end up like this, he said, I should have just done it myself. But I tried, but I know that my wife has spent countless hours not only taking care of them as a mother, but also a teacher also. And I realized and seen in this past year where mothers had to quit their jobs in order to go home and help take care of the children, because there was no babysitters, there was no schools, so they had to take on that role also. And it's changed. And I realize and see a lot of the stress and anxiety, a lot of the depressions and everything that weighs upon the mother because of how big of a plate that she has, and it's filled to the point where she cannot handle anymore. But it takes a strong person, a strong woman. That's what virtuous means. Who can find a virtuous woman? And that's what it means. It means something that's a strong woman. It takes a special person, a special woman to be able to accomplish the things in her life. As being a mother, as being a teacher, as being a wife in a household, as being all these things, it takes a very special person. And if you're still here this morning, if you have made it through all that, God bless each and every one of you. You deserve a round of applause. You deserve this day because you have overcome a lot of things that I probably couldn't overcome. You know, because you have got that strength within that God gives you to be a mother. And to overcome these things. And to teach and to raise up your kids in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. We've got mothers today and also fathers that's out there. They don't care a bit about their kids. That they'll just let them raise themselves to the point of hoping that they can make wise and better decisions. And then we see children today that's making poor decisions and winding up in situations that they ought not to be in because the parents and the mother have failed to teach and to raise their kids to be a responsible adult. But God bless each and every one of your mothers that's sticking with us. That's not throwing your hands up and giving up. I know there's countless hours of nights that you sit and cry, that you sit and worry. Because how are we going to do this? How am I going to have time to take care of the house and to cook and to wash clothes? And now I've got to help them in class and in school too, on this computer, on these worksheets and stuff. How am I going to be able to do this? And we lose, and they lose a lot of sleep. There's times and stuff they go without a lot of times. But then they still always find time to do so. They still find that strength within that they're able to push through all these things. And he said, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. I tell you, children, our mothers are priceless. There's none that can replace them. You know, we take it for granted so much of our mothers and our fathers. And the instructions and the teachings and the raising that they have raised us up to be, we take it for granted sometimes. But whenever you really look back on it, it's far above rubies. It's priceless. There's nothing else out there that can compare to the raising that we had, to the instructions and the teaching that our mothers left behind. It's priceless. There's nothing that's compared to it. But then, it says the heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. This is part of being a virtuous woman, to the point where you live a lifestyle so godly that your husband don't want to go out to look for another one, to commit adultery, or to go out and commit all these horrific and ungodly things, because her husband's doeth safely trust in her. With this part of being a virtuous woman is first of all living a lifestyle with God to the point where your husband and your kids do safely trust in you. Because there's a lot of responsibilities that hang upon the shoulders of a mother. And that's why when we look in the very beginning, that's why that Eve was created for Adam, to be a help unto him. Us husbands get to thinking that we can do this all by ourselves. We can do this all alone. That we don't need a help sometimes, that she's just there. Maybe just to cook a supper. Maybe just to wash our clothes or clean the house. But we take for granted and don't realize a lot of times all what the mother and the wives have really go through. We think that we can do it. What if she decides to sit down and not wash her clothes? What if she sits down and you come home after a long day of work and the house is a mess? And there ain't no food, not only on the table, but maybe there ain't no food in your cabinet or your refrigerator. Maybe your kids are filthy and they had a bath in a few days. We start realizing a lot of the responsibilities as a mother and as a housewife also. And as our wives that she does. But we take it for granted a lot of times. But we trusted her. I trusted my wife that she is going to take care of our kids while I'm gone. I'll go and do what the Lord has called me to do. To be the leader and the guider of the household. To be the head of the house. And to provide for the family. So I got to let my wife and the mother do her job. And I trust that she will help to get all the bills paid to wherever they need to go. That we still have food in the house. That we have clean clothes to wear. And not only that, but our kids are in subjection and following after the teachings of what she is trying to lay out for them. Teaching our kids how to cook and how to clean. Olivia, she's cooking some stuff now. I got my son now teaching him how to ride a riding mower and going around the yard with a wagon, picking up sticks, teaching them things that's going to help them whenever they become adults. That's part of not only being a virtuous woman, but a father also. But her husband's do us safely trust in here so that he shall have no need of spoil. And another thing on that too is stuff that he safely do trust in her that he had no need of spoil. But if you really study about, especially in the Old Testament, and a lot of these wars that happen, what they'll do, the enemy will come in and they will spoil them. So what is it whenever they spoil them? They take everything they got. All their food, their cattle, all the substance that they had, they spoil them. They took it unto themselves and threw them into slavery. Now we trust in our wives that she will live a virtuous life. A good godly woman that no matter who comes along, that we won't get spoiled. That he will take whatever that we have and she'll run off with some other man. This is what's happening in today's time. Because people are not committed in relationships. They're not committed in marriages. And there is a lot of men and women also that's living ungodly. And they'll run off with everything that comes along. Because there's no trust in a relationship. And the only way that we can have that type of a relationship, God has got to be in the very center of it. And it says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. This is another thing. She says, she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like a merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar. You know, you look at it back in those days and times and stuff, the women a lot of times were the ones out there was gleaning, they was bringing in food. They had to go from afar off and they would spread out and they would go look for food and to bring it back to their household. Same way with our wives and stuff today and our mothers. They'll spend countless hours and weeks to go out to make sure that we have food in our house. Sometimes she might have to go to the next county. Sometimes she might have to go to 2 or 3 different stores to find what she needs. But she'll make sure that her house has plenty. And as she said that she riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and her portion to her maidens. So think about this, you know, and I've seen my wife does this a lot of times, and a lot of mothers do. And they will make sure that everybody else is fed in the house. She'll wait till last before she eats. She'll make sure that her husband and her kids have plenty to eat before she will even fix her plate. This is the sacrifices that a mother and a wife will go through. She'll spend time, hours, you know, preparing a meal and wait till last sometimes just to eat. Just to make sure that they have plenty. She said here that while it is still night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion of her house and her maidens. And I'm going to go ahead and add these couple of verses in too. She says, she considereth a field and buyeth it. You know, she's a real estate agent right there too. You know, she was in real estate here. She's going and buying buying fields and stuff. What she does, she looks for opportunities in her life that she can help better her household. If there's a field, she'll go buy it and she'll work it just to have a place to plant crops and to have food for her house. Same way with the mothers today. They look for opportunities in different ways to better her household. To make sure that her kids have plenty. To make sure their husband is getting what he needs. And their house is sustained. And it says, and with the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. This is what I really like about this verse that's going to tie in these other couple of verses. Her candle goeth not out by night. So that means and stuff that it doesn't matter what the time of the day or the time of the night. You know, a mother's work is never done. You know, and I look back in times and I try to get up and help and at every chance that I could get. But I remember even the times that my wife, even when it's time to go to bed, it's not time to go to bed. You might just be there just for a few minutes. You might be there for a couple hours. But then your baby starts crying in the next room. And maybe needs a diaper change or maybe needs a bottle. Especially a newborn, they're up 3 or 4 times a night. And she's up at every time to make sure that that kid has what it's needing. She don't get much sleep at night. She don't get much sleep during the day. And it never gets easier also. And as the child grows, even at night whenever it becomes sick, that it's not feeling well, she's up with it. You know, and she makes sure that she has the medicine that she needs. Her candle goeth out by night. And it's an ongoing process. We think that we try to get a break every once in a while. As a mother and as a father, there is never a break. It's ongoing. And it's something that you do 24/7. Not just when it's convenient for you. Not just when it's, not just convenient for you. No, not just when you want to or feel like it. We have to tend to that child whenever it's ever need. Because we have the responsibility as a mother, as a father, to raise our children up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. Nurture our children, take care of them to the point where they can start going and doing things of their own. And still and yet, after they get out of the house, whenever they become grown, we still be a mother and a father unto them. That never ends. It says that she layeth her hand to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. That she stretcheth out her hand to the poor, she reacheth forth for her hands to the needy. So not only is she focused upon her family, but everybody else. Do you know that, especially as a mother, there's no selfishness there. There's no selfishness there. Because she makes sure that everybody else, not even her family, maybe her neighbors, maybe her friends, has what they need. After she had fed her family, gave them what she needs and stuff, then she will reach out her hands to the needy. You know, she will help them along the way. That is a virtuous and a good, godly woman. It says that she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing. Let me back up. I skipped a verse in 20. Not only that she stretcheth her hand out to the poor, she reacheth from their hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household are clothed with scarlet. She is not afraid of the snow at all. So she is, no matter what season it is, if it's hot or if it's cold, she's out to take care of our family. When it becomes cold, you know, we look at today's time that whenever it gets cold, we need coat, we need shoes, we need clothing. You know, it's easy now. Mama could go out to Walmart or whatever type of clothing store there is and just buy us one. And they wasn't so lucky back then. We go back several years, and I know, and some of y'all can probably remember this. It wasn't as easy just jumping in your car and going and getting these things. That you had to hand make these things. I remember Grandma, time after time, we could go out and buy blankets and covers all the time to get warm. She hand knitted quilts. She made quilts with her hands. I even had, remember at a time when I was young, things of mittens and, toboggans that was made because she worked willingly with her hands to the point to make sure, even in the cold of the winter, that her family has things that they need to keep them warm. You know, she's not afraid of the snow. She'll go out there, even in the snow, and take care of her family. You know, take care of the livestock a lot of times back then. And to make sure that her family has what they need, even in the cold. She says she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates whenever he sitteth among the elders. I can say this for myself, and I say a lot of men can too. I'm thankful for my wife and the mother that she is. And I'm proud of her. I'm proud of all the things that she's done. Are you proud and appreciated of your wife and as a mother too? Do we appreciate her enough? She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. So not only is she doing this, but she'll even make things and she'll selleth it. We'll look back a while back ago and stuff like that. That's how a lot of people got money. Whenever we have these get-togethers in town once a year, I think ham days and good old days and stuff like that, and cow days and all this. We can remember back a long time ago, before it was just a gather place, that people, they'll make cakes and quilts, and they'll have fresh farm eggs and pies. They'll go and they'll sell it there to try to gain money to go back and to support their family. Because there wasn't a lot of jobs going on back then. Most of the jobs that you had back then was farm work. That's all there was. So the women and stuff, they took care of the responsibilities of doing these things to help, to try to provide for her family and her kids. And right here, it says that strength and honor are her clothing. Like I said earlier, you are a strong individual. I know times it's going to get tough. I know there's times and stuff that you're going to get anxious and depressed. And I know there's going to be times where you're going to get upset and cry because you don't know what else to do, that there's maybe more on your plate. But remember what God said, that He would not put no more on us than what we're able to bear. Remember that who you are as a child of God. He said that strength and honor are in her clothing. Sometimes it's hard to reach down and find that strength sometimes, but it's there. We trust in the Lord. And it says that, and she shall rejoice in time to come. So whenever everything actually falls in its place, whenever that she is content and her household has what she needs, she rejoiceth. Are we rejoicing today? Are we content with what God has given us? We have a roof over our head. We have food in our refrigerator at home. We have clothes on our back. Are we content? Or are we rejoicing in the Lord for what He has done? Or are we still just complaining like the children of Israel did all back in those times? Seems like it's never enough. And it says here that she openeth her mouth with wisdom. and her tongue is the law of kindness. This right here is what I was talking about, children. You know, she opened her mouth with wisdom. Don't never take for granted the wisdom and the teachings that come out of your mother's mouth to help guide you along. Sometimes she might have to steer you with a paddle, but it's for your own good. You know, sometimes the stuff that it kind of gets a little bit rough, and sometimes because what has happened, we get so stubborn that it takes a good jar or two to make us realize and understand what she's talking about. Because what has happened, the strength and the wisdom and the teachings and the law of kindness that comes out of her mouth is to keep us from making a train wreck at the end of our life. Because she knows the direction that you're going to, and she knows the destination of what you're heading to. That's why the law of kindness, she does it in a still small voice, in a loving manner. And the wisdom that she has to give you is to keep you from making a mistake. Because she loveth you so much, and she careth for you so much. Do we realize, children, how much our mothers and our fathers, also our grandparents, really do care about us? We're not telling you these things just to be hard on you. It's to teach you. Because what is going on is that you're growing up and time is flying by. You're growing up to be young adults and everything, going into middle school and high school, even graduating high school, graduating college. You're becoming adults. You're going into adulthood, and it's going to get harder from here on out. And if it's only by the prayers of your mother and your father, the instructions and the teaching of your parents is what's going to help you through. But whenever we get to that point, whenever we feel like and see how hard everything is, then we realize, well, they was right all along. We start calling them up. Mom and Dad, what about this? Help me out with that. Help me change a tire. But whenever we was growing up, we took it for granted. We didn't want to learn how to change a tire. We didn't want to learn how to drive a mower. We didn't want to learn how to cook. We didn't want to learn how to clean because we didn't see a need of it back then. But when it comes to time of reality, we reach adulthood and it's up on our shoulders now. Then we start calling upon them, I need help. And we help them. We teach them. We try to go back to the fundamentals again. Don't take it for granted. Soak in everything that you could possibly can now, because you're going to use it whenever you get older. She said that she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. That right there, we've heard it so many times. An idle mind is the devil's playground. The Bible teaches us about idleness. It's a dangerous spot to be in. But it says here about a virtuous woman that she is never idle here. She says she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. She right there, she as a virtuous woman and a mother, and what the Bible descriptions here, after we read of everything, there's no time for idleness, is it? She's busy all the time. But she said her children ariseth up and call her and praiseth her. They call her blessed. And her husband also praiseth her. Children, you are blessed this morning to be able to still have your mother. You're a blessed children. And mothers, you are blessed also that you have the strength and everything to do these things. By looking at it, I don't know if I can even accomplish half of these things on my own. I know I couldn't. But and look back and see what my wife has to do as a mother and as a wife also. The things that she goes through, I don't think there's any way that I can handle it. I don't think my nerves and patience will allow me to. I think I'll lose my mind. I would say pull my hair out, but it's done gone. But the thing about it is, I probably would have done it. But to see what she had to go through and stuff, I don't know if I can do it. Because it takes a strong individual. Actually, being a mother is a calling. It's a blessing. Because you are favorable in the sight of the Lord that He entrusts you with these children and give you the strength to do so. And He says here that, right here is probably going to sum everything up that we talked about. And it's probably about one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It says that many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. They excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. You know, that's something that a lot of men look for in women. You know, they look for the beauty. They look for the favor. What they can do for them. They look at how beautiful a woman is. The thing about it is, it said it's deceitful and vain. That's what the mother of Lemuel was trying to teach her son. Don't look for these things in a woman, you know, because she can be the most beautiful thing, but inside and stuff, she can be so ugly. The attitude of a person will determine how beautiful or ugly somebody really is. But what she had told him to look for is, but a woman that feareth the Lord. She said here that she shall be praised. That right there is my definition of what a beautiful woman is. No matter how young or how old she is the one that feareth the Lord. Because this right here, if she will feareth the Lord, all these things that we just got done talking about is going to fall right into place. You know, but it's sad that we try to go through and try to accomplish all these things without the Lord. You ain't going to be able to do it without Him. You might do some of these things, but your strength comes from the Lord. Your wisdom comes from the Lord. That, my children, no matter if it's a husband or it's a wife that you're looking for, be sure, first of all, before you even start getting into a relationship with them, that they fear the Lord. That should be one of the main concerns that we have whenever we start getting into a relationship with somebody. It wasn't mine. The Lord worked everything out. I went for beauty. I didn't care for anything else. But, you know, I didn't realize the stuff what I was getting myself into whenever I asked my wife out on a date. Whenever I started getting interested in her, I was not in church. I wasn't much raised in church at all. I didn't know a thing in the world about salvation. But so I started working with her. I started getting interested in her because of the way she looked. You know, she was a beautiful person. Then and stuff, I started having a relationship with her. We started getting close. But never had I thought that whenever I got married into her family that half of them were preachers. They went to church, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I started going to church with her just because that was what she wanted me to do. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, especially whenever some of them homes started coming after me. You know, Junior and Ray and all them, they interrogated me, and you know. But looking back now, I love each and every single one of them to death. I really do. But never had thought in a million years that that's what I was getting ready to get into. So I went to church and stuff. You know, in all honesty, it was because of my wife that I got saved. You know, if it wasn't for her, then I might not, and the help of the Lord, I might not still been here today. And not only did I think, well, I'll just go to church just because she's going to, just because I can see her, but she started working on me. You know, about getting saved, about getting serious. And what happened one day after a while, I got saved. Because she had ministered and dealt with me, and she had patience with me. And I got saved. And not only that stuff, but that is just the very beginning of it. God started dealing with me also about other things. It was time to get to work. He had called me into the ministry. I started evangelizing. I started preaching and now pastoring churches. Never would have thought in a million years that it would end up like this. Because I said, whenever I got to that family, Junior Holmes and half of them were preachers and stuff, never would have thought, well, I ain't going to end up like that. But the thing about it is, here I am. I'm in the Separate Baptist just like they are. But ain't it wonderful how the Lord can work? Because of the dedication not only did she have on me, but I praiseth her because of what she has done for our children also. That is a definition of a virtuous woman. But make sure, children, you find one that feareth the Lord. And I'm going to read a couple more verses real quick. And I'm going to wind this up. But I got to thinking about growing up of how much pain and suffering and everything that I put my parents through. Like I said earlier stuff, there is mothers that's going through this Mother's Day without their children. You know, there was a mother in the Bible that had to go through without their children. And that's Mary. And that's the mother of Jesus. Remember over here, and I'm going to read John's account on this. I like Matthew's account too. And they all kind of correspond and say the same thing here. But we will remember Jesus Christ that's on the cross. He was dying. Y'all remember back, you know, if you read it, kind of take in the picture of the childhood of Jesus Christ. Remember, he was 12 years old at the time whenever they have went back. And they realized that Jesus wasn't in the camp with them. They worried themselves sick. She was worried about because she couldn't find her son. She went back. He was in the temple there and with the scribes and Pharisees. And, son, why worriest us? He said, do you know that I must be about my Father's business? You know, your mother worries about you. Doesn't matter your age, where you're at. She worries about you all the time. You know, and wherever you're at, whether you're at school, she worries about whether you have food or raiment. And whenever you're old enough to get in the car drive, she worries about you. And parents do too, because you're out in the vehicle. We're constantly worried about you and concerned. Here she was too. But the mother of Jesus Christ was pretty much standing kind of close where Jesus was hanging. He was dying upon the cross. You know, sometimes we kind of think back and we worry, well, whatever happened to Joseph? You know, because really, after the first part there, you don't hear nothing about him anymore. We say, well, is he alive during this time? Well, Joseph's there. You know, people can kind of look at this different ways. I don't think he was. I don't think Joseph was living at this time. Because if we see here where Jesus was talking about, and maybe somebody can maybe teach me a little bit more than maybe he was, you know. But this is kind of the way that I was reading and interpreting it. But when Jesus was hanging on the cross right there, remembered what he said. In John in chapter 19, let me find that verse there. In chapter 19, in verse 25, he said, now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. So they was all there. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by him, by whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, woman, behold thy son. Then saith he to the disciple, behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her into his home. You know, the mother of Jesus here, Mary, she had to go on without her son, Jesus Christ. You know, I know that she worried about him a lot of times. Even whenever he first got into the ministry, he was having dealings with the scribes and Pharisees. They was sought to kill him I don't know how many times. I know, you know, from reading that, I know that she worried a lot about her son. because she had the one that gave birth to him, and now she's standing at the foot watching him being crucified and dying. You know, this is where I kind of get at that maybe that Joseph was no longer there because she left him or his mother in the care of his half-brother there. Take care of her. Mother, behold thy son, and son, behold thy mother. And the disciples took her back to her house. And she had to witness and see her son to die upon the cross. You know, and we read and study that there was a lot of weeping and a lot of sorrowful. Even a few days later, she was going to prepare the body of Jesus and stuff. You know, I could see her right now weeping, sorrowful as she was, going to that tomb to anoint the body and to prepare all the rituals and stuff that they did. But when she showed up there, he was gone. And that's why he said, "Why weepest thou? Why do you seek the living among the dead?" He said, "He is risen. He is not here just as he said." But can you imagine the joy that come in to a mother's heart to hear that? Not only to hear that, but to physically see him also. That he went back to the Father. Children, your parents, your mother worries about you constantly. But not only that, but a fearful mother of the Lord, she worries about your well-being spiritually. You know, we worry about your well-being as a mother and a father spiritually. Because one day and after a while, we pray and hope that these teachings and bringing you to church will find a spot in your heart. That we hope one day after a while that y'all children will get saved. And that you'll take this thing and go on. Because children, you don't have to. You're just like everybody else. You have a date appointed to leave this world. And we look at it at the time. Well, will our mothers and our fathers be here all the time? No. The thing about it is, there could be a chance that you go before them. I've got a friend that's 6 months older than I am. He was hurled into eternity just a little over a month ago in a car accident. And I can't even count. I can't even count on 2 hands and 2 feet probably. Since I've graduated high school, how many of my classmates has done been hurled into eternity? People, it's a divine appointed that a man wants to die. And after this, the judgment, I pray, kids, that you'll listen and take heed to what we're telling you and teaching you. Because we are worried about your spiritual well-being. That one day after a while that you'll find the Lord before it's eternally too late. You got the message this morning. We'll stand. We'll have a song if anybody feels that.